This month should have been the start of Egypt's peak tourism season. Instead, the loss of more than 220 lives in a suspected airline bombing is shaping up to be a financial disaster as well as a human tragedy. Russian and British tourists are the backbone of the Egyptian market, but now both countries have imposed travel bans and several other countries have followed suit.
Immediately, the Russian market, which is about 3 million people a year, I think will be very, very hard hit. And of course, an awful lot of holidaymakers from Britain, from Germany, from Italy are going to be very worried about the message that this sends out.
Tourism makes up nearly 15% of Egypt's economy. Around 12% of Egyptians work in the tourism sector. But recent years have been tough. In 2010, Egypt saw 14.7 million tourists, but in 2014 that had fallen to 9.9 million. Tourism revenues peaked at $12.8 billion in 2008, but 2015 is unlikely to exceed $7 billion. Russian tourists who booked for Egypt are being offered alternative holidays in Turkish resorts. The knock-on impact is enormous.
Tourist agencies will of course suffer colossal losses because they cannot sell Egypt anymore and because they'll have to invest financially in the alternatives. And Egypt is in shock as a whole because they are losing business. The situation is very difficult.
2015 was supposed to be a turning point for the Egyptian tourism industry. This past week should have seen the launch of a $68 million global PR campaign, a 3-year deal to promote Egypt in 27 global markets. Instead, the campaign has been shelved, the launch events cancelled.
Even though in many of these cases, I can certainly speak for Jordan and Tunisia and for Egypt, the situation on a 99% of the time is very safe and very enjoyable, and there's no sense of any security issue, but people's perceptions change. And for a tour operator who prints their brochure and has their online and spends a lot of time promoting a destination, they get to the point where they say, you know, it's just not worth it.
Egyptian tourism has faced big setbacks in the past. In the months after the massacre of 58 foreign tourists at Queen Hatshepsut's temple in 1997, visitor numbers fell 60%. Last year, a bomb on a tourist bus in Sinai killed 2 South Koreans and an Egyptian. And earlier this year, the Egyptian Air Force mistakenly bombed a convoy of Mexican tourists in the Western Desert. 8 Mexicans and 4 Egyptians were killed. Russian and British passenger jets into Sharm el-Sheikh could resume as early as this Friday. But the inevitable cancellations and lost revenue will impact for months. And recovering from the reputational damage to Egypt will take even longer. These departing tourists may never return. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera.